Hello, friends. I trust that we are all okay this afternoon. We thank God once again for His grace and for His mercy. And today we are looking at Genesis chapter 11. We are still talking about the descendants of Noah. We will read from verse 1 to verse 9 of Genesis chapter 11. It reads as follows: Now the whole earth had one language and one speech. And it came to pass, as they journeyed from the east, that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. So we are told that some of the descendants of Noah journeyed from the east, and they found a plain in a place called Shinar, and they dwelt there. We are told that they had one language, they spoke one language. It made sense because it was just one family at that time. So verse 3 says, Then they said to one another, Come, let us make bricks and bake them thoroughly. They had a brick for stone, and they had asphalt for mortar. So we are told that they said to each other, Let's make bricks. They baked those bricks. And verse 4 says that, and they said, Come, let us build ourselves a city. So they decided that they were going to build a city. And a tower whose top is in the heavens. Let us make a name for ourselves, lest we be scattered abroad over the face of the whole earth. And verse 4 says that they decide to build a city and a tower. And they say to themselves, let us make a name for ourselves. That's where the problem began. They began thinking about themselves instead of thinking about God, instead of thinking about what God wanted for them to do. They should have consulted God and asked Him what He wanted them to do. But they decided amongst themselves that they were going to build this city and to make a name for themselves. That means they are going to leave God out of the equation, and they wanted to build a tower that reaches heaven. That was another mistake that they made. They should have asked God as to what they were supposed to do. God had said that they should be fruitful and multiply and occupy the whole earth. But they decided to do things otherwise and decided to build this city and also this tower that they wanted it to reach heaven. Let's hear what verse 5 says. It says, But the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the sons of men built. And the Lord said, Indeed, the people are one. They all have one language, and this is what they begin to do. Now, nothing that they propose to do will be withheld from them. And verse 7 says, Come, let us go down and then confuse their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. So God saw what they were doing. He came down And he says that I'm going to confuse their language because they have left me as their creator out of the equation. So I'm going to confuse their language. And verse 8 says, so the Lord scattered them. Verse 7 says, come, let us go down and confuse their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. So the Lord scattered them abroad from there over the face of the earth, and they ceased building the city. So God decided to deal with them. He confused their language. They could not understand each other. And so because of that, they ceased building the city. So their aim was defeated because they wanted to make the name for themselves. They wanted to build a city with a tower that reaches heaven, which was not God's plan. God had said, be fruitful and multiply and occupy the earth, but they had decided to do things otherwise. And God confused their language, and they were forced to cease building that city. And verse 9 says, therefore its name is called Babel, because there the Lord confused the language of all the earth, and from there the Lord scattered them abroad over the face of all the earth. And this became what is called the Tower of Babel. And I'm sure we have heard about the Tower of Babel, and which later developed into a city called Babylon. And I'm sure we have heard about Babylon. So Babylon came from these people that wanted to build this city and make a name for themselves. And they wanted to build this tower also, which was going to reach heaven. But God saw that mind of rebellion, and he stopped them right away before they even finished building by confusing their language so that they could not understand each other. So as a result, they stopped, and then they went they went all over the place, and which is what God had said in the beginning. And so this just shows that God is in control of things. He showed them that he was in control of things in chapter 11 by confusing their languages, and they could not build this city that they wanted to make a name for themselves. And so even in our time, things may appear to be very bad, but God is still in control. At his time, at the right time, he is going to stop some of the things that we are experiencing at the moment. And my message to us is that we should trust him. Whatever happens, let's trust him that he is in control and is able to change things when the time is right. So I hope we have learned something from Genesis chapter 11. And I'm sure we have learned about Babylon, which means confusion. So when we come across the word Babylon in the Bible, let's know that it means confusion. May God bless us abundantly, and may he help us to trust him. Even in these trying times, let's trust him because he is in control. May God bless all of us. Amen.